Hey guys, welcome to Kristen and Katie Read. I'm Kristen.
I'm Katie.
And we like to
read.
Okay guys, another month has come to an end. March was a blur.
Madness.
Okay, we're going to give a brief rundown of each of the books that we read with a short synopsis, as well as a quick ratings and recommendation, if we wouldn't, compare it to some things. This is going to be spoiler-free, so if you're considering reading any of these books, don't worry.
We won't give away any important, revelatory facts.
Oh my, are you prepping for the SAT over here? Revelatory.
That's right. I'm an English teacher.
I need an SAT, like big word alert! We're adults, it's not really that big of a word, but incredulously.
That's a Cassandra Clare.
Yeah, that's
word
a word
right there. That's
a word. Okay, so it was a busy month of reading for Katie. I only read 4 books. I definitely snoozed. And here's why. I don't know if I can keep reading the Bridgerton series. With that being said, the 4 books that I read this month were starting with Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare.
Right out the gate.
Big release. Then I read Fable to prepare for the sequel. Fable by Adrienne Young. While I was waiting for the sequel to come out, I read book 4 of the Bridgerton series, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. And then I just finished Namesake by Adrienne Young, the sequel to Fable.
Excellent.
Yes, Katie, what did you read?
But I read, it was all a lot really in one week. I read 4 books over spring break.
Sometimes I just get in a very big reading mode. Yeah.
So I
also watched the entire series of The Big Bang Theory and Ginny and Georgia twice. So I think we should start including our other media.
We absolutely should, because we have some hot takes on other things that you guys should be listening to or watching.
What else did we do in March?
Well, This Is Important is a podcast that has busted into our lives.
It's been out for a year, but it's been in our lives for about 3 days.
Yes.
We're obsessed.
We listened to Whitney Cummings' podcast.
Yes.
And
good for you.
Adam Devine was a guest, and that kind of led us on to rewatching Workaholics.
Yes.
Me watching The Righteous Gemstones for the first time, getting ready.
I can't believe you haven't watched it.
For season 2.
Yes, they're filming now.
And we watched Pitch Perfect last night. Really? On an
John
Adam Devine.
Mayer called through a personal assistant.
Through a personal assistant.
Love it. So let's talk about the 6 books that you read.
Okay. So I started the month off with Cassandra Clare, Chain of Iron. We obviously had a lot of feelings, emotions, and opinions about that book.
We'll link it here if you're interested in hearing what we have to say about that book.
A lot. We
have a lot to say. And we're very big Shadowhunter fans.
Huge. Huge. Oh, they're behind me. Then I read A Touch of Darkness, which is the Persephone and Hades retelling by Scarlett St. Clair. And then I read Namesake, book 2 of Fable by Adrienne Young. And then I read, this was actually a Bookstagram recommendation. I read another book series by Kerrigan Byrne, which I loved.
What was it?
Which was, the first one is How to Love a Duke in 10 Days.
Oh, okay.
Is that series. And I commented on someone else's post, and they were like, oh my gosh, that's not even her best series. And I was like, what? And so I started reading their other series, which is called Victorian Rebels. And so it's all about men that live outside of the law. Which I love
that. Have you heard of the Peaky Blinders? Ever heard of them?
Peaky fucking Blinders.
That's me kicking down a door. That was it.
Your hand? Your hand.
By order of the Peaky Blinders.
So I read book 1, The Highwayman.
Chopping doors down left.
So I read book 1, The Highwayman, and book 2, The Hunter, before I read the scandalous Highlander series by Suzanne Enoch. And I read book 1, which is The Devil Wears Kilts.
Wow.
Fantastic. And I'm almost done with Rogue with a Brogue.
Wow.
Which is in that series.
You might finish that this month. There's still a couple days left.
That's true.
This might be posted on the last day of the month. It might not be. We'll keep you on your toes. You won't be on your toes because whatever day you watch this is the day that you're watching it, so it doesn't matter. But okay, so Chain of Iron, like we mentioned, if you're a fan of the Shadowhunter books and you've read the first one, you should read the second one.
Obviously.
Yeah, we gave it what was it?
Like a 4 out of 5.
Did we?
We rounded up. We did. We gave it a 5 out of 5, even though we had a lot of opinions.
We gave it a 5 out of 5 and a 9 out of 10. And that could change depending on how the series wraps up. It's just gonna really, really depend. So
it's such a book too.
Yes, and you really need to have read the other ones to comprehend this one. This one has the most characters, the most going on, and yet not going on. So, anyway, if you're a Shadowhunter fan, you probably already read it. If you were considering not reading the series, I think you need to read the series because it all is going to tie together.
Yes.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
Then I read Fable, which...
Yeah, let's talk about Fable.
Yes. Okay, so Katie has kind of done a review of this before, but I really liked Fable. I was expecting it to be more like piratey in this sense, like, which it's not really pirate, it's like legit trading. Like they have licenses.
Right.
To trade.
It is crazy because their lives are really like rugged and dangerous, but they're still working within the law.
Yes, they definitely trade is a big part of this, much like the prequel series to Star Wars. Look out. Look out, trade routes. So I thought that was interesting. I expected there to be like more like, oh gosh, the ship's coming, like there's gonna be like a big like bat. Again, this is my own, what I'm like, picture a boat and a beachy type book. I just immediately assume it's pirates. So it's not the book's fault.
But you said boat.
Boats.
Boats.
Oh, the boats rolling up.
About that.
So there's that. And then I also just like kept expecting there to be like more trouble at sea than there was.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's almost like her surviving on the island was a bigger deal. So it's Fable. Really? She's a young girl. Yes. Her dad has left her on this island. Javal. She's like so hurt by this. Obviously, her dad has abandoned her on an island. And we're kind of wondering like why. And then she's trying to make her way back to him to claim what is rightfully hers, her inheritance. So that's what the book's about. So
yes.
So I would give Fable a 4 out of 5.
Agreed.
And an 8 out of 10.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It got me very excited for book 2.
Yes.
I really, really liked Fable. I love her character.
Yes.
In the first book a lot.
She's very motivated. Mm-hmm. It's definitely young adult. It's very short book. It's a very short book.
Yes, both of them are very short. I was kind of shocked whenever Namesake came out and it was the same size as Fable.
Yes, and that's why I like feel like there could be more. Well, but I really like the characters that are in it.
Right. So going to book 2, again, if you haven't read Fable and you want to, there are kind of some spoilers for the end of Fable, just where we pick up.
Yeah.
So like maybe skip ahead a little bit if you like haven't read Fable yet.
I'll put a timestamp. We're starting to talk about Namesake now.
Perfect. Okay, so at the end of Fable, Fable is kidnapped.
Fable is kidnapped by one of her dad's old associates, and we're trying to figure out what the truth is and what
that is at the end. Never mind.
Like what the truth is, who's doing what. It's really about like what's the long game for everybody. Everybody has a different end goal that they want. Fable honestly just wants the love of her father and family, which is fine.
She just wants a found family and she wants her dad to actually love her.
Yes. So we're like, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. A family member that Fable didn't know about's in it. Her love interest from the first book, she's wondering if he really is who she thinks she is, because her dad like throws out a one-liner in the end where he's like, he's not who you think he is, Fable. But like, that kind of threw me off, because when you find out his like secret, it's just like he's kind of a dark person. And guess what? He is a dark person, and Fable doesn't care, so it's fine.
Yeah. And I think we're going to do a longer review of these 2 books.
Yes. So let's do ratings for Namesake.
Okay. I pulled the trigger really quickly after I finished it and gave it a 3 out of 5.
What? Okay, I really like Namesake. I don't know what she's talking about. I am giving it a 5 out of 5 and a 9 out of 10. I think I liked it more than Fable, the original book. Yeah.
I think I honestly just need to reread them. I read Namesake really fast, and I had a lot of expectations tied to it.
Yes.
Just with how the first book was. Fable and her motivations, I just didn't think she grew a lot as a character in Namesake, which if like you only have a duology, I feel like that kind of needs to hit home. But after you finished it and we talked about it, I think I would go back and change my rating. I was just looking that's the rating I actually gave it.
Wow.
Right whenever I finished it.
I just liked that the twist of who, like up until the very end, not the end of the book, like the climax of the story where you're like, which player's going to come out on top, like how that all comes together, I think was really crafty. Now, again, for a book about the ocean and where we spend so much time in the ocean, I found myself thinking to the Bridge Kingdom, which we've also done an extensive review on. I'll link it in case you're interested. I just like really liked Laura's time in the ocean more. Like,
right.
Like there's, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler, but like there's like no shark attacks. There's no like creatures live in the ocean.
Things that make the ocean dangerous don't come into play as much. It's almost like, again, we're going to get into this in another video, but like the land is the more dangerous part of the Fable universe. The universe instead of being at sea.
Yes. It's like every fantasy. It's not actually the magic or the dragons. It's the people. It's the people's motivations. The Walking Dead. It's not the zombies. It's the other people, right? Like it's that type of a vibe. So, comparing it, it's really hard, I think, to compare it to anything.
I agree. I agree. I just didn't think, nothing came to mind whenever I was like, oh, if you liked this, you should read this, or I liked this, and so somebody said I should read this. It's just kind of like a fresh...
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. It's kind of an original, different vibe. It was in Reese Witherspoon's book club. Very young adult. Any age group could read this. It's not inappropriate at all. There's not a lot of romance. Yeah.
That was my one take whenever I talked about it. The Fable. It wasn't quite steamy enough.
Not steamy enough.
Fine.
So, okay.
Let's see. Oh, I read A Touch of Darkness. Scarlett St. Clair. A Touch of Darkness is a Hades and Persephone retelling. Was shocked whenever it was like a modern time. So it's like set in this place, this like mythical New Athens. Hades runs a nightclub. Persephone is in school. No one knows that she's a goddess. She's like in college. And her mom, Demeter, which like in the myth, does not want Persephone to have anything to do with Hades.
Spicy.
So she's told, stay away from him, but she was supposed to stay away from like all of the gods and goddesses because they don't know who she is, and like the politics of gods and goddesses in New Athens is very tenuous, and so I really liked it. Steamy levels are great. I was shocked that there was a sequel, so I guess it's going to be a series. So A Touch of Ruin has already been out, and I just haven't read it yet, which follows their love story more. So I gave it a 4 out of 5, I believe. A 4 out of 5. I would give it an 8 out of 10. Sometimes I struggle with things that kind of read like fan fiction.
Yes. Is it kind of like Lucifer, the show?
Kind of.
It's like a modern, like the devil runs a nightclub.
Yeah.
He's different than you think he is.
Yes, Hades has a rep that isn't true to what he's actually like.
Love it.
And if you know the mythology, it follows pretty closely to like how Persephone ends up in the underworld. And so but in case you don't and you want it to be a surprise, then I won't say. So, but I would recommend it. I think that Greek mythology is having a moment yet again.
It's back, baby.
Which I love. Percy Jackson, it should have been back and stayed. I don't understand. So with like Circe and Song of Achilles and A Touch of Darkness, I just feel like we're back in it. I love Greek mythology retelling, so
love it. Okay, the last book that I read was Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, the 4th book in the Bridgerton series, which focuses on Colin. So Colin is a POV character as well as Penelope Featherington?
It's a hard one.
Yeah. So she's in the other books. You've known Penelope for a little while. Her and Eloise are best friends, who Eloise is also a Bridgerton. So this one's a bit further down the timeline from the other ones. Colin's 30, which is fine for a man to be 30, and Penelope is 28, as well as Eloise.
Which is old.
Yeah. And society's basically decided that they are spinsters, will not ever get married, which they're, like, happy about. But Penelope has been in love with Colin her whole life. She's like, yeah, it's fine, but, like, I love him. But Eloise has no idea.
No.
So you kind of pick up with Colin coming back. He travels a lot. He's gone a lot. For the season, he always comes back and does stuff within the Tom for his mom, but he's more of, like, a man of industry. Like, he wants to be remembered for something. So we find out he actually, like, keeps journals and writes quite a bit.
Oh.
Yes. So, and this one is the main storyline, basically, is, like, Penelope and Colin Penelope's always liked him, but him realizing, like, seeing her in a different light, being like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Like, how does no one ever notice this? Like, spoiler alert, buddy, you never noticed.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You are part of the problem.
Yes, it's wild. So Lady Danbury at a party, she loves Penelope. She thinks Penelope is so funny and witty, which she
Absolutely.
is. She's like, you know what? I don't know who Lady Whistledown is. It's been 11 years. She offers a huge reward. So everyone's trying to figure out who Whistledown is.
11 years?
Yes. So the twist at the end is really good. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't watched the show or read the books. They actually reveal who Lady Whistledown is in the first season, in the last episode of the show.
Which is so smart.
Yes. And then the way that it all unfolds in this one, it's a really good twist. So this one's longer than the other ones. Again, I liked it. It's just that typical trope of, like, the girl's not beautiful until the guy's decided that she is, which I don't love. And finally society's like, oh, he thinks she's beautiful? No, I think she's beautiful. And this is the 4th book in a row in the Bridgerton series where the girl is a virgin and the boy has slept with a lot of people.
It's hard because I would say most romances are like that, especially historical ones.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Just pure for you. Ugh. I don't love that. So anyways, I would give it a 4 out of 5 and an 8 out of 10.
Okay, I read 3 romances this month. Actually, probably 4. I'll go home and round it out because I'll finish my last one today. And so 2 of them are part of one series called The Devil, A Scandalous Highlander or something. Anyway, the first one is called The Devil Wears Kilts. And to go off of Penelope and Colin, very similar situation. Ranulph is the laird of his clan. He is 31. And it is, like, not shocking that he hasn't married yet.
Okay.
And then Charlotte.
Everyone dies at, like, 40.
Yeah.
Cool.
And, like, being a laird is very dangerous.
Yeah.
So especially in this time, it's, like, England is definitely trying to, like, squash the Highlander culture. And, like, it's after Culloden. And so it was, like, illegal to wear kilts for a while. And so he's, like, very brash. So he hates the English, even though he's half English, just a tidbit.
Whoa!
And his sister runs away because he doesn't want to, like, debut her in society. He wants her to stay in Scotland and the Highlands. And so she runs away to her mom's old best friend's family, who she's connected with.
Okay.
And the older sister is Charlotte, and she's 25. Okay? Considered a spinster. Like, has already had her season, and she is the chaperone of her little sister Jane, who's Rowena's age, who they're both 18.
So I get it that's historically how it would have been, but
Yeah,
like
but
it's
now?
still like I don't like reading
it now.
I'm like, I almost
is a
just
lot.
wish they would just pretend like that wasn't a thing and just like give me the setting, the level of technology, but like
Yeah,
you're
it's
a
hard.
Spencer. It's just like it's just tough because I don't enjoy that.
Yeah, so, but I love Charlotte. She's really great. She was considered the jewel of her season, and she got a really good match. And then you find out that her fiance died in a duel. And so she hates violence.
Okay, all right, Hamilton. Okay. God, duels are so dumb.
So their big problem is that, like, his life is very violent. He's, like, a violent person to protect his clan. Like, they have a lot of enemies.
And she has PTSD from her fiance dying.
Yes, over what she thinks was, like, male pride, which it was. Her fiance was wrong. And so she was like, just not ready to marry anybody, so I'll just be a chaperone for the season of her sister Jane and Rowena. And so obviously Ranulph comes to London and tries to take her home, and Charlotte is like, no, you're not taking her. She's having her season, and you can stay in London if you want and hang out. And so obviously he's like, no one has ever spoken to me like this before. I love her. So that's their whole problem is he's violent and Scottish and she's English and a pacifist. So that's their big problem that they have to overcome. And then the second book is about his little brother, Aaron, who's also come to London to help keep the family safe. And a
lot of security risks out there.
Lots of them. And he, at a masquerade ball, of course.
Wow.
Dances with a masked woman that he does not know is a part of a rival clan. Not only she's the granddaughter of the Campbell, the laird of the Campbell clan. And so obviously he's like, well, that can't happen.
Well, they danced one time, so they're in love.
And so then
they're willing to risk it all.
They do, and it's great. I actually really like Mary as the girl in Rogue with a Brogue.
Amazing.
And I really like her. They both are kind of resigned to, like, she can never be Laird, even though she's the only child of the oldest son of the Laird. So she like was raised her whole life to understand that whoever she married would be very high in the clan.
Ugh.
And so she has to, like, she's always just known that she would marry someone she didn't necessarily want to.
Yeah.
And so did Aaron, like, as heir to his Laird, because his brother doesn't have a son yet. He's like, okay, I'm basically like a political
pawn
piece on the board, right? So they're both like resigned to marry other people, but then are like drawn together, which I love.
So what would you rate the first and second one?
I would give them 4 out of 5 for what they are. Historical romances. I am liking the second one better, but I really like Ranulph and Charlotte, so it's hard. And then I also read another series called The Highwayman is the first one. And it's about, I actually loved this book. I read it in one night. It's about this little boy and girl who meet at an orphanage, and they like kind of fall in love, but like kid love, you know? And then this is like all in the prelude, or in the prologue. The girl is like assaulted by the priest at their orphanage, and he kills him. Like, is trying to run away and ends up killing him. Oh, man. And so the boy is taken to jail, and you don't know what happens to the girl at that time. Okay. So then it like flash forwards 17 years later. They're adults, right? Okay. They're adults, and she like makes up this whole identity for herself and like says that she's a widow, and so that she can live by herself, and she works, and then this. What year is it? 18. Okay. Like 15. Okay. And so then she works at the jail. She's like a clerk at the jail, and this like crime boss comes through and is like, I know you. And she's like, you absolutely do not. I am a prim and proper lady. Absolutely no. And so there's this plot to kill her, and he saves her, and you're not really sure who he is to her. He is just this person that she doesn't recognize and she doesn't know, but then it like all comes out that he knew the boy that she grew up with in the orphanage. There are lots of twists and turns, but it was really good. And then, what would you rate it? I think I gave it a 5 out of 5. Okay. And then the second book in the series is The Hunter, and it's the assassin for that crime lord from the first book. Okay. It's about him and this woman that he's hired to kill. Wow. And he goes to kill her, and obviously they kiss instead. And so she has a son, and there's a plot to kill her because she knows too much, and he has to save her because he can't kill her now. And yikes. So it's a lot of intrigue in that one, and really, I just really like it because he's like for sure just a bad guy. And she's like, I get it. You have loose morals, that's fine. Have you finished it? Yeah. What would you rank it? Or rate it? Not rank it. Ranked. What would you rate it? I would rate it probably 4 out of 5. I didn't like it as much as the first one. But I liked the story. Yeah. It was just like the characters I didn't like as much. The first one, there's that whole mystery of like, who is this guy? Like, how does he know her? Who am I? Who am I? So I really do like this series. The next one is called The Highlander, and it's about... How many books do we think are called The Highlander? So many. There's one in one of these series that's just called The Duke. Okay, well, all right. What? You heard it here first. That's insane. The Duke. So I really do like this series. I started that other series, The Scandalous Scots, or... Yes. Wow. So it's a lot of Highlander romance right now. It is a romantic spring. It's having a moment in my life. I love that. For sure. So. Okay. So that's it for March. Until next time. Stay incest free.